BBC investigation has found that at least 220 women judges in Afghanistan are in hiding. They fear retribution from the Taliban. Most have passed judgment in legal cases involving violence against women, and the men that they sent to prison in the past are now threatening to kill them. BBC's Claire Press, who did the investigation, told us about the judges that she's been speaking to.
These were the breadwinners, these were the most prominent women in Afghanistan, and now they are having to live in safe houses. They're having to move every 2 or 3 days due to the number of death threats they're receiving. They have no access to money, so like so many Afghans, their bank accounts have been frozen. So they really are living in hiding. Some of these women have worked and championed women's rights for more than 30 years. They've sent hundreds, maybe thousands of criminals to prison. And now they're in fear of their lives. Most prisoners have been released since the Taliban takeover, and these women feel like they have nowhere to go.
Claire, you were in Afghanistan a few years ago and you reported from one of these big prisons. What kind of men are we talking about here?
Yeah, in 2019, we visited Pul-e-Shakri, which is one of the biggest male Afghan prisons. When we visited a wing, it's nearly 3,000 members of the Taliban were inside. These are men, every single one reported trauma from their life. They've all lost people, mainly in airstrikes run by the US or NATO, and they wanted revenge. But their revenge was extremely violent crimes. These were men who had murdered women. We had domestic violence cases, in some cases attempted suicide attempts. So it's understandable why these women who committed them to 20 years in prison, 30 years in prison, only several months before the Taliban takeover, are now absolutely scared of retaliation. It's important to say, as part of this investigation, we did speak to the Taliban, and during the takeover they offered amnesty, a complete amnesty, to all Afghans who previously worked for the government, including these judges. So they say the judges have no fear, should not live in fear of their lives. However, these women simply are saying that is not the lived experience. Every day they're still having to move their families. Every day they're still having to find food, and they live in fear of their lives.
Claire, what does the future look like for them? Is there any hope, any possibility that they can leave?
There's lots of talk internationally. A lot of charitable bodies have come to the fray. The New Zealand government and the UK government are talking about trying to bring these women over. 9 judges are reported to have reached the UK. But our investigation found 220 living in hiding, and we know that throughout the course of the time before the Taliban takeover, 270 women were representing female rights in the country. So how to get everybody out, especially those in the most rural provinces, it looks absolutely bleak. And these women say that they feel they've lost everything.